We spent some time talking about this with David Ortiz taking his final curtain call Thursday at Yankee Stadium. We wondered who was more valuable to their respective franchises, Derek Jeter or Big Papi. And I think initially you think Derek Jeter, but the more you think about it with what Big Papi's done with 3 World Series titles, they wouldn't have won those titles without him. And probably the most feared batter, you would think, in the last 15 years is Big Papi. So we reached out to Curt Schilling, and his former teammate, and he joins us now. Curt, could you be objective when you look at that? Who's been more valuable to their franchise, Jeter or Big Papi?
To some degree, yeah, but let me just first off say, bringing me into with Rush in the background, that fired me up a little bit. that was an outstanding call by the producer.
Good. So you said you can or can't be objective?
Yeah, I think I can. I think because, listen, here's the thing that people don't understand when you have to preface this conversation with, it's like comparing, Lou Gehrig to Babe Ruth. When you talk about one being better than the other one, it's on the level of Hall of Fameness, right?
Yes.
So you're not saying the other one isn't valuable. It's just a different kind of value. But I think when you look at Derek and his value to the Yankees, so a lot of people don't understand. He was good, right? He was really, really good. This guy hit 310 over a 20-year career. That's way beyond just being good. My only, I guess you'd call it beef with the people that talk about Derek's career is I always thought he was and again within Hall of Fame perspective, I never thought he was an average defender. I think that was part of his game that was very overrated. I think the Gold Gloves were, I think, indicative of that. But again, you're talking about being overrated on a very good level. But you look at his career averages. He was averaging like 15 and 80 over his career. Home runs and RBIs, and he had, I think, almost 160 games in the postseason, and he hit 20 homers. He was a guy who stepped it up. Now that's not every postseason, but you look at a majority of his postseasons, except for 01 when he had some issues hitting the big lefty, but he was clutch. But I look at him as someone who carried on the Yankee thing, right? I mean, them winning, it wasn't like, oh my God, the Yankees won a World Series. It was, okay, here comes more of the same, and that's not a bad thing. But I think when you look at the core four with him and Posada, and Rivera and Pettit, I think they were each involved in that. And then you switch over to David, and if you look at David's postseason numbers, David didn't hit 300 in the postseason, but you look at 2013, he had I think 2 hits against Detroit in the ALCS. One of them was a grand slam, and the one that won the World Series. He was as timely as any player I've ever played with, and I know it makes the sabermetricians mad, but he was, in my mind, I never saw anybody more clutch than him. But I think Derek finished in the top 10 in MVP like 8 times in his career, which is impressive. David finished in the top 5 years in a row. When you look at that run from 03 to 07, 2 World Series, David was next to Manny, and think about that. David and Manny were hitting back-to-back at that time. He was as clutch as they come, but David helped change the narrative, right? I mean, David comes here, and the Red Sox are the lovable losers and all the things that go with that, and David steps on the stage in 03, and then from 04 to now, he's been who he's been.
Would you have won the World Series, that first one, without Ortiz?
No, gosh, no. No, and I think Manny as well. But if you look at the first one in 04, you remember the Yankee series. I mean, back-to-back nights, it was a home run off of Quantrill and the broken bat walk-off off Loaiza the next night. And then I don't know if you remember, I would imagine you remember Game 7 to some degree of that series. You remember Damon gets thrown out in the first inning at home plate, right? On the Ramirez single. David then hits a 2-run home run. Like that was one of those kind of a hidden, like, oh my God, when Damon got thrown out home plate, we're thinking, oh no, there's no way we got the 7 games and this is going to happen. Next to bet, he goes, David hits a home run, and it's like, okay, we're fine. And I'll tell you, even better than that was the night that I think it was Game 4 that we won. David homered off Tom Gordon in the 8th inning, which was the biggest run of the game, almost in my mind. So there were clutch moments for both of them, and I think that they meant everything you could want them to mean to both franchises in very different ways. You know what the thing is? I don't know Derek obviously as well as I know David, but I will tell you this: every good thing you ever want to think about a person is true about David Ortiz. He is as genuine as they come. He was, he played almost 20 years, and how many of those in Boston? Almost 15, 14, 15? And he had his spats with the media every now and then, but that's what a competitor does. But he was never stupid.
And a Hall of Famer?
Huh?
Hall of Famer, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think when he goes in, Edgar Martinez needs to go in with him. But absolutely, I don't think there's any question. I think both of them are first ballot guys.
Oh, so you think Ortiz will open the door? Well, there's only Edgar, or Harold Baines maybe, as guys who are DHs.
Edgar was a Hall of Famer to me. He should be, much like Tim Raines. I think Edgar Martinez changed the designated hitter from being the fat guy who couldn't play first base to being an elite middle-of-the-lineup bat. And he was every bit that. And I think David just picked that up a notch. So,
but how much do you factor in postseason performance to regular season?
Well, I do. The Hall of Fame, I don't know how they do it. The voters do it, but those are. Here's the thing. So Jeter was a 300 hitter in 158 games in the postseason. Every one of those games was against the best of the best.
Yeah.
Right? There were no San Diegos or there were no Minnesotas on the schedule. You're playing the best, and oftentimes you're in a series where you're facing, the ace twice or three times. So those numbers are even better than they look, which is amazing to me. I factor it in because that to me speaks volumes about the man. What kind of competitor he is, what kind of person he is, because I always felt like in the postseason, the reason I thought I could be better than everybody else because I could always take a breath when no one else could breathe.
He's Curt Schilling joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Jeter hit 327 against you, 18 for 55.
Yes, yeah, and listen, I'm going to caveat. Yes, he did. I'm not going to deny that. But I'm going to caveat that by saying to you that before I lost my velocity, he was like a sub-200 hitter. And then once I lost my fastball, I could not get him out. He got on me so bad and so often that it became a problem for me.
He hit 2 home runs. You remember the 2 home runs he hit off you?
Yeah, he hit one in Philadelphia to right field. The year after, so they came to Philly in '97, and I struck him out 4 times in the game. And after the game, someone had said something to him about, how'd you think about Schilling? He said, you need to go talk to somebody that actually saw the ball today. And I laughed. I thought that was kind of funny. And then the next year, he took me deep to right field in Philly. And then the other one was, I believe, a ball to right field in Yankee Stadium. Cheapy.
You never faced Ortiz?
No, I didn't.
If you had, what would have been the scouting report?
You know what? It all depends, and everybody asks questions like this. It always depends on where. Like, David Ortiz with Manny Ramirez was a very different David Ortiz. David Ortiz with Mookie Betts hitting behind him, it all depends on situations. But I know this, I don't think I had very many. I might have had, I think, less than 10 intentional walks in my career because I hated that. To me, that was just like the epitome of admitting someone's better than you, and I didn't like that. But facing David Ortiz in a game in the 9th inning, he might be a guy I'd put 4 on, just because I wanted guys to make mistakes late in the game, and they did a lot. Because of the pressure. David and Derek didn't. And the difference for me always was Derek could single and all that. David didn't make soft contact after the 7th inning. And that's a difference. So and the thing that has always marveled me about David is his ability to hit the ball in the inner half of the plate as big as he is. If you look at a lot of the balls he drives out of the ballpark on the ball, he loves that ball in, and that was always where that's why I'm going to guess Mariano he had a good career against everybody, but I'm going to guess Mariano had pretty good numbers against David because he could make the ball run in on David, and David liked the ball in. I couldn't do that, so I had to make David chase, and David didn't do a lot of chasing. The more experience he got.
Would you vote for the Hall of Fame?
No.
Why?
Because Because I'll play the game I always play with people that ask me that question. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to name a name, and you tell me Hall of Famer or not. Okay.
Okay.
Barry Bonds.
Yes.
Okay. Just a yes or no. Derek Jeter.
Yes.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
Mike Mussina.
No.
Huh?
No.
Okay. Anytime you have to hesitate, it's a no.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, now the Hall of Fame doesn't have that criteria, right? Because they clearly, there are Dale Murphy should be in the Hall of Fame. Dale Murphy was the best player in the 80s. I think Fred McGriff should be in the Hall of Fame. But character counts for far less, which is why a guy like Dale Murphy clearly isn't. He should be in the Hall of Fame first ballot. But I always looked at it as like, okay, Randy Johnson, yes or no?
Yes.
Like it's funny, right? Pedro.
Yes.
Okay. When you don't have to think, it's in lock. That's a guy that gets a plaque. And so in my Hall of Fame, it would be, oh my God, there's no doubt this guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And you can go in the Hall of Fame, and listen, I don't want to diminish the honor because it's the greatest of the greatest. But at the end of the day, people will walk by and go, wow. Like people talk about Bill Mazeroski as apparently defensively he was Roberto Alomar before there was a Roberto Alomar.
But that's not enough for a Hall of Famer. I mean, he hit a home run.
I disagree in a lot of ways because, and I say you being the fan and the voter or the person on the outside looking in, the amount of undervalue people put on defense is laughable to me. As a pitcher, defense was every bit as important, if not more important, than batting average, home runs, and RBIs. So when I look at a guy like Roberto Alomar, I see a Hall of Fame bat, but like a guy that should have been 100%. He was probably the best defensive second baseman ever lived.
Yeah.
Omar Vizquel, is he a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
Okay. And it has nothing to do with his bat. Even though he was a good offensive player.
And I think he's a better fielder than Ozzie Smith. And
I think he was the best of all time. The best I ever played in front of was in 2005. Alex Gonzalez had the best defensive season as shortstop I've ever seen in my life. And it's underrated. And that, to me, is a very, like I said, Derek was not a Hall of Fame defender.
Mm-mm.
He was, and again, I'm talking about Hall of Fame All-Star greatness. He wasn't that guy. Offensively and personality-wise, he was a force, and that's why he was a winner. But how important? So the Gold Glove thing tends to carry a lot more weight than it should.
Yeah, I think it's overrated in some instances. Yeah. But Mike Trout's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Here's the thing: Mike Trout is. Okay, I look at Mike Trout, and then I look at the rest of it. He's so far above he's going to finish in the top 5 again this year.
I know.
And this is going to be something people are going to look back in 4 or 5 years ago. Oh my God, a lot like Adrian Beltre, right? I think Adrian Beltre is a Hall of Famer.
Yes, I agree.
But you'll have people the everyday fan will be like, what, Adrian Beltre? But you look at the body of work, and then you realize defensively he was as good as anybody that ever played the game.
Okay, let me leave you with this: if Mike Trout got hurt right now, would he get in the Hall of Fame if he was never able to play again?
I don't know if he'd get voted in. I'd Koufax him in.
Okay, but we're looking at J.J. Watt, who's back, is acted up.
Right.
He's not going to play again this season, and we wondered he's probably a Hall of Famer if he doesn't play again. Koufax, you talked about Gale Sayers. There's certain guys.
How about Barry Bonds' career ends the day he starts cheating? Is he a Hall of Famer?
No, my problem with that is that a Hall of Famer wouldn't cheat.
Right. No, I agree, and you and I are on the same page. But if you look at Barry Bonds' body of work, and you say that before, what was it, somewhere in 99 in that area.
Yes.
You look at his career before that, he's a first ballot guy.
Yes, he is.
Right.
And if you don't have McGwire or Sosa, Curt, then you don't have this reincarnation of Barry Bonds.
Absolutely.
All right.
Couldn't agree more.
I got to look at us agreeing.
I know.
This is great.
You're voting for Trump.
Absolutely. Right there with you. I'm going to be in the front row next debate.
Oh, please. And if they ask that butt clown Mark Cuban to come back, you better just destroy him.
Thank you, Curt.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.